Welcome to another episode of the podcast. So today we have a guest and it is actually a client of mine. And I've asked Nicola to come on because not only will she highlight how incredible our coaching is, but also I think much deeper than that, Nicola can show people out there who are feeling stuck what is possible. And what I love about Nicola is she is the salt of the earth. She is the most down to earth, funny, amazing person you'll ever meet. And before we pressed record, she actually said, Kellie, now be nice, because we have experienced so much together over the last maybe 2-ish years.
Yeah.
And yeah, you'll get to know her as we go. She is just such a lovely person. I think she's very relatable. A lot of people you hear online about, you know, their fitness journeys and their weight loss journeys maybe can feel almost a little bit out of reach or out of touch to where you are right now. But I think after listening to this episode, yeah, you'll just understand what I mean when I say she's an incredible person. So, Nicola, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you very much. Such a lovely introduction. Thank you.
You're welcome. I suppose we're just going to chat about your journey with us before you started working with us, kind of throughout and where you are now. So maybe give us a picture of what your life looked like before we start working together.
Okay, so I suppose from quite a young age, from what I can, from as far as I can remember, I have struggled with being overweight and just on a vicious cycle, really, of just kind of starting a new diet all of the time. Kind of my head was filled with, new ways to finally lose the weight, and kind of I could never get past a certain point. Always really an active child, always active adult as well. So like exercise side of things was kind of, okay. I was always always into running and going to the gym and things like that. But I was kind of, everything was focused on training and didn't realize, that I had other elements that I needed to focus on really. So in many ways, I was stuck on that cycle of the binge restrict, the all or nothing mindset, just always constantly starting again. And it was really, really exhausting. And I remember being kind of a few months into a new job, feeling kind of not very good about myself, had put on a bit of weight in the months that I had started the new job. Even my training had slipped a little bit and just felt, I needed some support to get to where I wanted to be. And that's when I, found you online and decided, that I would take that step and get in contact, really.
And it's mad, right? Because when you're saying there about, work and stuff like that, we work with so many incredible people. And I think, you're a nurse and automatically I think people assume health. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
and,
absolutely. Yeah.
We work with, I've said it on the podcast before, but I work with doctors. I work with people in the highest roles that you would think, Jesus, they have their shit together.
Yeah.
But it's almost a disconnect from what people think about a person and their job and stuff, and then breaking that into health and fitness. So for you, you're incredibly clever, you're in the health industry, but just not being able to transfer those skills from, I suppose, what you kind of know what you need to do.
Absolutely. I feel like there's so much of it that I knew, but there was just those missing links that I needed to find that were missing to put all of the puzzle together to get where I wanted to be, really.
Yeah. And you mentioned there as well about training. So we would get a lot, because you're super active, running. We were chatting yesterday actually about your running time for a half marathon. I'm like, fucking hell, I need to brush up on the or training there. So you're always been active, and we chatted about this a little bit actually in the car on the way up. We would train, both of us, because of how it makes us feel.
Yeah.
And if we didn't train, we'd be absolute nightmares.
Absolutely.
So when it comes to weight loss and health and stuff like that, training is amazing. And I always talk about health span. We don't train to lose weight. Well, we shouldn't anyway. We train to be healthy and, to increase our quality of life and all of those things. But for you, I think the two, and you mentioned it just there, the two disconnects were, one, nutrition and consistency, and then two, the kind of mindset element of my coaching. So in terms of change, I suppose, what was, when you started working with us, what was the one thing about like nutrition, let's say? Like, what did you
Yeah.
realize? What were you not doing before? Was it the restriction? What was the big thing when you started working with us? You were like, oh, right, okay, this is it, you know?
It was, I was training more, I think, as a weight loss method as well. So at that point in my life, I definitely, it did make me feel good, but also I thought the training would be the biggest impact on my weight loss journey. But actually it was when I realized I needed to focus more on my nutrition. I wasn't eating a poor diet as such, but in terms of weight loss, I was definitely not doing the right things. The all or nothing mindset, the binge restrict cycle, I have tried so many different diets, but it was just realizing that I needed to make some small changes to my diet in order to, fit in with everything else that I needed to do. That mindset element of kind of, if you did go off plan, to get back straight back on plan afterwards, and I just didn't realize that actually that was going to have such a big impact on like long-term success, really. And just changing my mindset around training, focusing on my nutrition, and definitely working on my mindset. The mindset element of it is the key.
Isn't it funny?
Really,
because
success, because you think actually, I'm going to sign up to this program and, I'm going to, sort out my diet, I'm going to get my training and all of that. But actually that just becomes a byproduct of all of the mindset stuff that you do with us. And it's incredible. So,
and it's because we've chatted about this endlessly. Like, it's so easy for us to kind of chat about stuff like that now and understand what we mean. We're like, mindset was the key to break this lifelong cycle.
Yeah.
But it's like, how do you explain that to someone else? And it's
because people are like, what are you doing? Like, to lose weight? And you're like, how do you actually sit down with someone and explain to them, actually, someone can give you, what you should eat and, the training side, but actually until you change your mindset about it, nothing changes really at all. You're just back in the same cycle. So yeah.
And I think you were talking there, because we had this chat yesterday, and I'm going to keep saying that because we've been chatting literally. Nicola flew over yesterday and stayed up where I live, and it's been amazing to spend time together. We'll talk about later the community element of the coaching, but you were talking about there, you've realized showing up and doing the small things daily. And we had this conversation about so many people will never see long-term change because deep down, they really haven't been super honest with themselves and said, you know what, I think the biggest thing, is time. Like, this is going to take longer than your fucking 8-week quick fix, lose the weight, find it again. And also an element, if I'm being honest, is I can bring clients to the door, but I can't actually bring them in. And what I mean by that is I can't do the work for you, right?
No.
So we had a client, Val, who was on one of our lives recently, and she was chatting about, the first 8 weeks with Kellie is almost the easy bit because you learn the foundations. What should you be eating?
Absolutely,
how should you be training? A little bit of consistency, right? And it's all great and you're losing weight and life is good. But then life happens. And life happens for everyone, and things pop up and things don't go to plan. And it's realizing, I think, that when you come to work with us, it's not an 8-week thing. It's not even an 8-month thing. It's not even an 8-year thing. This is life.
Yeah, there is no endpoint to it. I think that's definitely the thing that I realized was that, you can go on a diet for a certain amount of time, you might get some results, but then what do you do afterwards? When that diet ends, it was realizing that I needed to put things in place that I could do sustainably for the rest of my life. And, in terms of, training and, nutrition, and just being able to show up even in a small way every day, just to make sure that consistency, carries on long term. I used to be very much like either go hard or go home. So it was like, I had to have that hour in the gym, or I had to have that like 10K run. But now, sometimes it's a daily walk, sometimes it's a 20-minute little, just moving my body and just showing up in the smaller ways. I still do my 10K runs. I still, have trained for half marathons, but it's about what my body can do rather than as punishment for what I ate, or just as a way of trying to lose weight. That mindset shift with my training is amazing, because now I kind of put my body, the way I run as well has changed completely. I used to go out and try and run 10K as fast as I can. Now I'm kind of doing the, zone 2 training and seeing like if I can increase my VO2 max. I've got a little bit more scientific about it as well, which is I love that side of it as well. But yeah, it was always, go going hard or go home. And that side of it has definitely changed as well. And I love exercise now more than I ever have because that mindset shift, away from just using it as a weight loss method.
Yeah,
so,
I was going to say, literally, it's a punishment.
Yeah.
It's you eat this and I'll train to balance that up. Or literally, so many people I used to take a class in person, and the amount of people after would look at how many calories they've burned in that session, and they'd be comparing and stuff. And I'm like, one, it's totally inaccurate.
Yeah.
But two, it's like the worst way to look at exercise as this thing, because then you associate it with, I need to do this to do this. And it's just this vicious cycle. But you did say the word extreme there, because I think everyone's been through it. I've been through it. I was very much that mindset. It was like, I do this perfect and I go so hard and I get the best half marathon time, or it's nothing. Yeah. There's no even point in showing up. When we spoke about yesterday, I was saying that, most people think 10 minutes a day of a walk or whatever is inconsequential. It's not enough to make a change. But you're talking 10 minutes every single day, for your life. It's better. It's so much better than no minutes. And I love that with you, that, as you just said, it's not every day you're in the gym. It's not every day you're running. Some days you're walking. Yeah. And I think your approach to life is just so balanced now. And you're a mother, you young kids, you're busy. And it's just about finding what works for you right now that is sustainable long term.
Absolutely. Yeah. Just being able to find those, do those small things every day that make me feel better, each day. And also just, being able to kind of change, in terms of the mindset element of it, it's just, being able to show up, being able to be consistent with it, make sure it's sustainable, and carry it on for the rest of my life. Like I said, there is no end goal to this. This is something that I need to do for the rest of my life to continue to, reap the rewards of what I've learned, in terms of long-term success. So, yeah.
And you know what the funny thing is as well, right? Because people can get put off like that, this is the rest of your life, right? But when you're doing it in this way, that it's not an extreme thing, it's actually enjoyable.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. That's it as well. I absolutely love all of this, all of the things that I've learned. And I want to do this for the rest of my life. That's the change in my mind is but I love that there isn't an end goal. I do want to do this every day. I love going for my daily walk. I love my exercise. I love eating well. Do you know what I mean? That's a big change. It's not if I'm good Monday to Friday, I could have this at the weekend or whatever. That, I will enjoy meals out with friends, night outs with, with friends, holidays, things like that. But I, essentially my day-to-day things, I want to do them. It's not difficult for me anymore because I've, been doing it now and showing up for myself and, seeing the results of that and feeling good. And that's what I want to continue to do. And also to show, that's how you need to do it to my children as well, so that they don't have a negative mindset around, being healthy.
Yeah. We were saying on the way up in the car, we talk about all of us are going to fuck our kids up in some way, but it's not going to be this way for us.
Yeah,
at least
exactly.
We have this
that's
box
so
ticked.
important to me, I want them to have a healthy relationship with food and with exercise. And hopefully that's passes down to them. They love joining in on the exercise at home and stuff. They'll be doing, if I'm doing a workout in the living room, they'll be doing it with me. And I love that. I love that they're trying to copy me and stuff,
It's brilliant.
So, yeah.
And you were saying there as well, you used the word want, which is really important because you've been with us a long time now and that we know you so well and you know us so well that the hardest part, I suppose, as a coach's job is actually the start because clients come to us and they're wanting and I get it. We spoke about this endlessly. So many people who are stuck in those cycles of binge restrict, trying but never being able to achieve it. I get when people come to me, they're like, Kellie, please help me to lose weight. But they're almost coming into it this is the goal. There's an end point. There's a method that I have to follow. I'm going to do what Kellie says and all of these different things where when clients come with us and are with us for a long period of time, the real goal is they actually want to live that way because eating well makes them feel good, moving their body makes them feel good. And it's your identity shifts and it's your, I suppose, standards shift in that if you like let's say we were talking about yesterday, if you had an injury and you weren't able to train for a while, you would literally feel like shit, same as me.
Yeah.
Or if like, let's say I'm away and I don't have control over my food for a long period of time, like I'm almost craving to get home, to get back into that normal routine because how it makes me feel, you know?
Exactly.
So it's fueled from a place of actual self-respect rather than punishment. I think that's such a good word that you used earlier. Like you're moving away from punishing yourself to actually just respecting yourself and treating yourself like you'd fucking treat anybody else.
Absolutely. And like the things I think about, like, you know, the extreme things that I did before to try and lose weight, you know, I just honestly, when I look back, I kind of absolutely horrified at the way I punished my body. And now, it is about respecting your body and, you know, the health span as well. You know, I want to be able to live for a long and healthy life, but as long as I can be independent and I'm healthy. So that's really, really important to me, especially with, you know, my nursing background. You know, I've seen the other side of, you know, not looking after your body, not, you know, moving your body, not eating the right things, and, you know, feeling stuck. So I've seen that the results of that, and it definitely is something that is, you know, giving me that motivation as well. That's
actually cool. That I never thought about that. You kind of got an insight into what the future could look like because you've seen people come through the hospital like not looking after themselves. I spoke about on the last podcast I recorded, it was a solo, talking about like foresight and humans' ability to look into the future. And like we can, you know, predict what the future will be like, and nobody knows what it's going to be like, but we can assume that if we keep down this road, it's not going to be good, you know, whereas if we make a change, obviously it's going to be better. But chat to us, you mentioned there about some things that you had tried previously to lose weight. We always have this chat and Chanel's laughing about like throwing stones in the pocket, going to the slimming clubs and like madness.
Oh yeah, honestly. Like I've tried, you know, the slimming clubs, you know, like Slimming World, Weight Watchers. I've even done the Cambridge diet, which is, you know, complete meal replacement shakes, which I did for 3 months when I was living in Australia for 3 years. And I think to myself that was 3 months of that amazing experience. But I wasn't like eating the food, you know, like I was completely restricting myself. I was miserable. I remember how cold I was because my body was like in ketosis, like it was burning fat for fuel. Oh, it was horrendous. But I've also done like the Dukan diet, which is just eating meat. You know, like it goes on and on. I've done so many different diets and that's essentially what they are. There is an end point. None of them were sustainable. None of them, you know, made me actually feel good about myself, even with the extreme weight loss that might have come with them. They didn't make me feel good at all in myself. So, and there was nothing about them that was, you know, enjoyable. They were just, punishment essentially for feeling like I had weight to lose, and that was the way I was going to try and do it. But I've probably tried pretty much every diet.
Pretty much every diet
that is out there, you know, even like the intermittent fasting. You know, I realise now that I do have to have my breakfast because all I'm doing is pushing my hunger down the road, especially for someone that does train a lot. And I train in the morning. I couldn't be waiting till lunchtime to have my first meal of the day. So I've learned a lot from
That's
from
funny
those,
that you say that, like, because every diet, like you mentioned there, like it might come with a lot of weight loss, right? And we spoke about this on the way up about like, you know, people taking the weight loss injections, but not really understanding what is necessary for long-term even maintenance, even after, you know, you maybe lose all the weight or whatever. What, like, for people using methods that aren't, we both come from an education background, let's call a spade. We know how important it is to educate yourself to get to a point where you understand and you feel in control of your body and how you can influence it going forward. And for me, it's like people who use these diets that you were talking about and all of these things, just ask yourself, like, when the diet is over, what do you do then? Because like, you know, pick any diet, the juice diet, we were talking about them as well, right? Ask yourself, am I going to have these juices for the rest of my life, right? Clearly the answer is going to be no, right? So that means that there is an end point. You said that word end point, and I think it's important. What happens at the end point of the juice diet, at the end point of this or that diet or whatever? And the answer is always, you're going to go back to the way you were unless you have done something like this where you've educated yourself.
Exactly.
And I think a mechanic is a great profession to use as an analogy for weight loss in your body. And I actually spoke in one of my previous podcasts using a car to look at how you would look after your body. Like you'd put good fuel in it. You wouldn't put the cheap diesel in, expect it to run well. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
All these different things. You'd move it regularly, but you wouldn't move it too much. And I was talking about all of these different things. And the same with if it broke down, would you get out the fucking Google and start looking, how to fix the engine of the car? No, you'd bring it to a fucking professional and you'd let them to do the job. And that's what I think my coaching, I suppose, is a good analogy for. It's like, I'm never going to say to someone that, I am going to fix you or I'm going to do this, that and the other, but I will show you how to do it. And then if you want to do it, because there's an uncomfortable conversation that, I have a lot of the time with people, and it's that, like for you, Nicola, you got to a point where you were like, oh my God, this is how I can achieve long-term success in whatever area, your health, your fitness, your weight loss, right? But also that comes with the nearly uncomfortable bit of like, right, okay, so I can't externally find something to fix me. I have to do the work.
Oh yeah. The only person that can do the change is you. Someone can, give you all of the information and instruction that you need, but you have to do the work. And you have to want to do the work. That's the key. You have to be ready to do it. And no one's going to do it for you. And in terms of you're talking about, the car, it's like, when you've done the story on the open office about, if you could go into someone that you love's body, how would you treat their body? The things that I put my body through, I wouldn't do it to anybody, especially someone I love. So I always think about that when you do, mention that on the open office.
Yeah, because when you take yourself out of this situation and you think about someone who you absolutely love, everything becomes clear, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does, yeah.
It becomes so clear, and you just kind of say, why the fuck, do I deserve anything less kind of thing,
know? Yeah, definitely.
But you did mention a point there about having to be ready. And we were having a chat about why this is different and all the things that you can achieve. But I said to you, you might as well be talking to that brick wall if somebody isn't ready to hear it.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, people kind of in denial maybe about what they need to change.
Yeah,
something like that. But you have to be ready. You have to be willing to do the work. And have the support as well to do it. Yeah, and you have to drop. I'm just after writing the word, these limitations that we place on ourselves. Because I told you a scenario about people coming to me and being like, but I can't lose weight because I'm menopausal or I'm perimenopausal, and I'm very open about this. Clearly things like that, going through menopause, perimenopause, having kids, having a stressful job, all of these factors make weight loss harder because you have less time, less energy, everything, right? I would never deny that. But it is possible. Yeah. And so many people restrict themselves, hold themselves back because of an identity almost they take on. I am this, so I cannot achieve that. And it's like, no, you absolutely can. Yeah, and things like perimenopause, it's like it will, affect how you feel and your behaviours. But weight loss is still possible, you know. It's just, it's affecting the way, you do things, how you feel. And then you might struggle with certain elements of things. But, if you do the right things and you have that mindset that you can do it, that's when the change will come. Absolutely. And come here, what made you reach out to me specifically at the start? I know you're I like this one on Instagram. She's pretty funny. She's I was following you. I think I must have seen a reel that was shared on someone's story, and I followed you on Instagram for a while. I just was like, I love this content. There was a little bit of humour there, which that I like having a bit of a laugh, taking the piss as well. I just loved your content, and I could see that what you had to offer and what other people had gone through, and I just thought maybe I could just give this a go and see. So I reached out and I was like, I think this could be it, so. But initially, it's like with everything you start, with a new thing that you start, I was like, maybe, I'll give me the kickstart I need for 8 weeks, and then I can do this on my own and all this kind of stuff. Little did I know I'd still be here all this time later, because it was just so much more than that, really. And we have to shout out to Liam as well, your husband. He's Irish, so there's definitely something there that drew you to my content. Definitely. But when you did sign up
up to me, I suppose, what were your expectations? Was it that this was an 8-week thing and we'll give it a go, or?
Yeah, I think initially I just was very, short-sighted about it. I was like, this is the 8 weeks. I'm going to do the, learn more about nutrition and just try and find those missing puzzle pieces that I needed to kind of, for that success, essentially. And then, as time goes on, I'm thinking this is pretty good. We had the meetup and I was like, this is incredible, actually. So yeah, I just thought I didn't expect as much as, what came really. I was just like, this is, brilliant.
I love to hear that. And what surprised you most? Like, was it, I don't know, like the level of support or the community or?
Yeah, I think all of it really. I just, and just like it felt very personal as well. Like you really get to know your clients. It's very personal kind of service as well. Like, and just, I just felt that you kind of the mindset element that you start, bring in. I was just like, wow, okay, this is very different to what I've ever done before. No one's ever really, it's always focused on nutrition and training. And I was like, oh, here we go. We're going to be open.
Open the fucking can of worms.
So yeah. But yeah, no, yeah.
I think that word is thrown around so much that people are like, what the fuck is mindset? What do you mean? And
I know.
Like,
yeah.
How do you describe?
You don't like I said, when people are like, what did you do? And you're like, how? You just can't describe it, So, but yeah, no, the mindset element is the key.
Definitely the key.
Literally
There's nutrition
the key.
Training and mindset is the thing that
that was what I had
together.
missing really, like nutrition wise, I have learned a lot about my nutrition. But it's not necessarily things I didn't necessarily know.
Yeah.
It was just implementing them and educating myself more than I had been, more than I knew before. But it was the mindset that really changed things for me. So.
Yeah, and that kind of spans across, like people think mindset with nutrition, like there is an element of mindful eating and all of that, but it actually is more to do with kind of beliefs that you had, behaviors and patterns that you've been playing out for so long.
Yeah.
And once you start identifying those, then like it is uncomfortable. Like, let's be honest, it is uncomfortable. Like clients who finish up their 8 weeks and they're about to go into the next phase, I'm like, this is going to be amazing for you, but also it's going to be a little bit uncomfortable when you realize, holy shit, I believed that for so long, or that held me back, and that's actually not true, or maybe like that's actually not what I want for my life, these things.
Yeah, exactly.
And when you start doing that work, as you said, the weight loss almost just becomes a byproduct. And I know people out there are like, how the fuck could that be? I wanted to lose weight my whole life. Do you know what I mean? Like imagine thinking back to you before you started and Nicola was telling older version of Nicola, no, Nicola, it's all about mindset. Like the weight loss is...
I just want to lose the weight. Like I want to lose the weight and get healthy. And then I was like, hang on a minute. I need to actually, do all the things that, a healthy person would do in order to lose the weight. So, that becomes the byproduct. You do all the things that you need to do. And that is then essentially the result of it. So, yeah.
And come here, when did you start to realize, okay, this is actually going to work in terms of, it's not a diet, it's not a challenge, it's not a certain period.
Yeah.
This is it, really.
Yeah, I think quite quickly, really. In the, like I'd say at least by the end of the 8 weeks.
Okay,
I was like, this is different. Like the support you get is second to none. I was like, I feel like this is what for long-term success, this is what I need to be doing. And I was really excited. I knew that the next stage was going to be more about the mindset stuff, and I was thinking, this is the missing part that I need to work on. And I'm delighted I stayed on, and I'm still here.
I love to hear that. That was quite early on because some of our clients are like the next phase, because that's kind of the one that blows everything really out of the water in terms of it's not really about your food. Like if I was to ask someone how would you lose weight, I'm pretty sure majority would say, move your body a bit more and control your calories or eat a bit less. Like it's all common knowledge, as you said. Most of us know that, but it's all of the other shit underneath. I always say in order to fix this externally, you need to fix the inside first. So a lot of my clients will be like, the next phase is really when kind of I started changing my life, questioning everything. And we do have a client, Leanne. Shout out to Leanne, she's amazing. She was like, I was kind of like, okay, I'm loving the process, but she's still like, and then she's like, the elite phase came, and I was like, holy shit, and she started like changing her whole life. But yeah, what did you say yesterday? This should come with a warning.
Yeah, there should be a warning sign on your program, because you come here for weight loss and you end up, I don't know, leaving your job. My husband's always like, and what else is going to change? I'm joking. He said, no, it should come with a warning. But a good warning. You don't even realize the like elements in your life that you need to kind of look at a bit more. So
yeah, and you did mention there leaving your job, because you have left your job.
I have left my job.
So just chat to us a little bit about how that came about.
I suppose essentially it was a little bit like how I felt before I signed up with you in terms of weight loss. I just felt, in terms of weight loss, I felt stuck. Mm-hmm. But in my job, I also felt a bit stuck. And it was in that grey area of not hating my job. There was lots of elements that I really enjoyed about it, but I didn't love it. And I just had a conversation with myself, really, and was like, could I do this for the next 30 years? And I really thought long and hard about it. I've been a nurse for a really long time, and I just thought, no, I don't think I can. And the element that I really, really enjoyed was talking to my patients about lifestyle, and I thought, actually, I think that's where the work that I would love, I would love to do. I have now just finished my personal training qualification. And I'm going to get started with that, really. So I'm still nursing a little bit. I do more casual shifts, and I might do that, for a long time. But
no expectation.
No expectation. It supports me financially, and like I said, there are elements of it that I still love. Mm-hmm. And I can go in and I do my shifts and come home, and it's great. It's a good balance now. So. I'm really excited to get going properly with the personal training. So.
I love that, because we do a lot of work kind of in the mastery phase about like actually asking yourself, like, how do I want to live my life? And I think so many people don't do that, and because I can really relate to that part you said there about didn't hate my job, because I never hated teaching. I love teaching. I love that element of like, helping someone get from A to B. And I think that's still what I do, just in a different thing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I never hated my job, but I always had this thing where I was like, probably the same as you. I couldn't see myself doing this for the next 30 years. And what really do I love? And we had this conversation yesterday, like, how did I kind of get into this? Well, Mo kept saying to me, like, when I was teaching, just, Kellie, go and do the personal training course and the nutrition thing. Because I always loved like performance, fueling your body. I was training for Ironmans and stuff. And I just took the jump, but I never really hated my life. But that was such a huge, and I'm sure you experienced the same, like, that was such a huge like one of the biggest moments of my life was leaving teaching, because I had the expectations of everybody else on my shoulder. I had the pension conversation.
Oh, the pension. Like the amount of people that bring up the pension. I was like, yeah, you're right. I should have stayed for 30 years for that pension. Like you can't be living your life like that, can you? You have to, have that conversation with yourself and, make those changes. I remember leaving on my last day, like in my permanent position, I have been back, like I said, doing the shifts, and just been like, wow, right, okay, this is the next stage of my life now. Like, I came to you for weight loss and I've left my job and I'm retraining. But it's been huge for me, in terms of, I was kind of plodding along for years, trying new things. Like, I was working in cardiology as a specialist nurse, and there were elements, like I said, that I loved. But it didn't feel like it was fully what I wanted to do. I was just feeling a bit stuck. And like I said, I cannot wait to kind of, work with people in terms of like more prevention side of health, really, and lifestyle. Yeah. And that's the stuff that really kind of excites me and that I love. So can't wait. Yeah.
But how brave, like I could just keep thinking, and not brave in that like, airy fairy, and like so many people stay because they're just terrified of the unknown, and I totally get it. Yeah. But like, what do you want to do? Just live your life, just like, being terrified of what if.
And I think I don't know if it was you that said it to me, but someone was like, worst case scenario, you have to go back to your job. So actually, by staying in your job, you are essentially living that that scenario.
Worst case scenario.
So, and that's not, it's not a bad job. Like I'm not, putting down nursing. Nursing can be an incredible career, but it just didn't feel right for me anymore. You know?
Exactly.
So, no, I'm really delighted with the change. It's absolutely terrifying. There are days where I'm like, okay, right, let's go, let's do this. I've just finished up my the qualification, so this is the scary bit.
This is it.
This is the bit where I have to just get out there and put myself out there, and there's going to be comments. There's going to be people. People have been really supportive, but people have surprised me by not being supportive in my life. So yeah, just got to do it for me, my family, and my husband is incredible. He supports me 100%. He's never wavered in his support for me doing this, which is amazing, because without him, I wouldn't have been able to do it.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, it's amazing. Can't wait. So,
I love it. And come here, you were saying there about comments. An interesting thing about that is, like, you had said to me, maybe 2 years ago or whatever, that would have really affected you.
Oh, 100%. I wouldn't have left my job because I would have been worried about what people think. Oh God, they'd be like, sure, who does this one think she is, leaving nursing? And the comments, whilst I was leaving, of like, oh, you know what, you probably come back to nursing. I tried it for a bit, tried leaving, but I came back. And recently I went back to a shift and someone was, said to me, oh, you're back. I was like, yeah, just for, I did say I was coming back to do these shifts. I'm not turning my back completely, but I'm just, trying something else too. So, it's,
But that just shows you, like, you said mindset loads earlier and we were like, we can't even explain it, right? But that is the mindset. It's like now being like, do you know what? Fuck it. I'm just going to actually maybe give this a lash, do what I want to do for once. And if it doesn't work out, like, I just go back to what I was doing, rather than this fear we live in now for so many people. It's this fear of, what if other people, or what do other people think? Yeah. What will other people say? And it's mad. We're living our lives depending on, or trying to predict what other people will think about it, when nobody really gives a shit. No. And the people who do give a shit, in terms of, they don't really give a shit, but the people commenting negatively, that just shows, like, for me as well, because I'm like an online presence. So you see shit and you're just like, what was it a while ago? Someone said something online, and an older version of me would kind of got defensive straight away. How dare they?
Same.
My initial reaction was, honestly, I hope they find happiness.
Yeah.
Because, it's just a projection of what's going on inside. And we chatted about kind of, there is this culture, you were saying in the UK, and I think it's in Ireland as well, but it's this culture of almost like, told you so, or like waiting for you to
slip. People are delighted for you to slip up and be like, oh yeah, so you're going to go crawling back to your, I'm like, no, okay, like, we could just support each other.
Exactly.
Let's bring each other up. Let's not put each other down, so.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah.
And come here, talking about supporting each other and stuff, I wanted to chat to you a little bit about, and I'm like, will we even go into this? The madness, but the community element of my coaching, right? So it was about 3 years ago, I was like, do you know what? It's this one-to-one service, and that's what you get when you're working with us, right? But I was like, it would be cool to actually try develop a community element to this. And I got it up off the ground maybe 3.5 years ago. And obviously, like anything, you're nervous and you're like, will this even work? And it takes time to get going. But what we've developed in the community part of my coaching, personally, I just think is incredible. And you are in a massive part of that. Yeah, and you just inspire so many people in there. But kind of how much have you taken, or how much have you enjoyed the community part of the coaching?
Sure. I've met some of the best people through the community aspects of the coaching. Like, if the coaching see me, on the amazing hikes in Wicklow, in Madeira. We went to Madeira. Oh my, it was so good. Like, we had such a laugh and it was a perfect balance. Just like the community aspect, there's always, we've got the, Facebook group, and, if you're having, I've used it for, on days where I'm having a bit of a wobble, and people just bring each other up, and it's amazing. But just to share successes, failures, and just to provide advice and things like that. And, we have the open offices every week that, we all get online and, we do, cover different things, but we're all chatting in the chat box, and it's just so lovely to get to know people. And, you see the same people as well, at the meetups, and you develop friendships. I mean, I was in Gran Canaria a couple of weeks ago and I met one of your, other clients, Jenny. Big shout out to Jenny. She's amazing. And we met up and we went for a swim in the sea and we had, a coffee and then a pina colada. And it was just amazing, to be able to just, and, there's no awkwardness. We know each other and, we chatted about you and we chatted about life and we just, it was amazing to meet her. And the community is just an amazing part of the coaching. People stay on, I think, as well for the community. A lot of it, is as well. Once they've, done all the work that they need to do, the community aspect is definitely, a big bonus of it as well.
Yeah. And it's funny because like me and Chanel chat about this, but like clients, getting to know us, but we get to know you so well. And also, like I always say this, like that open office midweek, clients really love that because it's a bit of crack. It's not all just wow, even though, you learn stuff. Yeah. But like I love it as well. Like on a Wednesday after it, it's like this midweek pick me up. The same with Facebook, like you're hopping on and you're seeing people struggling or winning and it kind of like inspires you. And also with the meetup, like Mo always says to me, like you absolutely love those meetups, don't you? And it's not like I am this person and like I'm working with these people and it's like this, I suppose hierarchy thing. We're all in it together. No, we're all fucking sharing life experiences. We're all, a lot of us are mothers. A lot of people are going through menopause or whatever and everyone's just sharing their wins. Like that holiday, the first retreat that we did last year in Madeira, like that was one of the best holidays of my life.
It was amazing, wasn't it? Yeah, it was such a good weekend.
What was our tagline?
No bitches.
No bitches.
And it's so true. Like, how would you get so many women going on a big holiday together like that? And there was no cliques. It was just everyone was genuinely, friendly and having a good time. And you'd go in and out of different groups and chat to different people. And everyone had their own story, but everyone was just so welcoming. And there was no awkwardness. And it was just brilliant. It was just such a good holiday. Yeah.
My favourite thing ever from that was do you know
the rum, wasn't it? The rum factory. Do you remember we did like a little tour, didn't we, in the cars? And we it was so good.
The rum factory. I was like, oh shit, what?
No. And then I put a little photo up on my Instagram story. My mother was like, I thought you were on a wellness retreat in Madeira. And I was like, I feel very well.
Oh, stop. That was the best thing ever.
It was so good.
I thought you were on a wellness retreat, a gas, but it was wasn't it the photo? That was from the photo on the bloody Jeeps.
God, yeah, the Jeeps.
That came last minute. So me and Chanel were like, we feckin' go on a Jeep tour rather than hike.
we did not know what we were literally signing up for, did we? We got on this Jeep tour. It was so much fun.
Oh, stop.
I think everyone just remembers me screaming with like my hair flying in the wind, my facial expressions, but everyone had just such a good time. It was amazing.
It was amazing. But I suppose that's another element of change that I noticed was really important, that like back to when I had start thinking about bringing in a community element in, I was like, I can see, like, I'm working with everyone individually. You just don't know what people are going through. Obviously, nobody knows what everyone else is going through. But I was like, everyone's struggling or everyone's going through this. Everyone's feeling like shit. Is this going to happen? Or, fear of failure, self-doubt, all of these things. And I was like, if we could get this thing where people come together a little bit, it would really help, because I think it's very important surrounding yourself with like-minded people.
That's exactly it. I remember even coming to the first meetup and I was like they just think their like trail of thought is just so similar, everyone's so like-minded. They were kind of, we're all here for a similar reason, all very different. Everyone has something to bring to the table, don't they? And like we'll sit down and the conversation gets deep really quickly, and I love that. Like the small talk's like, it goes to the back, and it's just straight in there. And it's amazing because, there's so many people in life that don't challenge the way they think, and it's inspiring to be around people like that.
I think
it makes you think about things more deeply, doesn't it? So
I think it is really like an addition to coaching, as in like there's always the one-to-one element there, and people, like, let's be honest, like everyone doesn't get stuck in. There's bigger characters than others and so on. But I just think it is such a cool element to coaching, because you're kind of dragging each other along or bringing each other along. But as you said, kind of challenge each other. Do you ever like? It's funny that you said that, kind of the small talk gets put at the back. When you meet up with a group and it's all like, oh, how's everyone? The weather and this, that, and the other. We're kind of like,
straight
Tell
into
me
it.
your deepest, darkest
Yeah,
secrets.
it is, isn't it?
Yeah.
You just visit and then it's like straight into it. And I
Yeah.
love that. Like, it's just, it's amazing.
Yeah. And you're such a, as I said, it's such a massive part of it, like of the community. So absolute legend. But come here, I'm going to chat to you a little bit about the changes that you have experienced, because again, I know we started this chat by saying, you know, a lot of people come stuck and they just want to see weight loss and they're stuck in cycles. There's so many people out there, right? And they listen to conversations like this and they're just thinking, you know, it's just not possible, or all of these limitations that they place upon themselves. So can we chat a little bit about the actual changes that you've experienced? So I know it's so much more than physical change with me anyway.
Yeah.
My focus is, do you know, it's funny, I couldn't even tell you how much clients have lost, you know, when they're, do you know, it really, I know it's happening because that's our goal, but it's definitely not at the front and foremost. But in saying that, you definitely have seen a massive physical change.
Yeah.
So can we talk about, do you know what, I'm going to say this and you're going to, like, Kellie, don't embarrass me. But last night when we were having dinner together, you were wearing like a string top.
Yeah.
And I was just like, your muscles were like, I was like, you look so, like, honestly, I was like, you look so defined.
Oh my God.
And I was just like, wow, like that. That just shows like that you're consistently, like, it's just amazing.
Yeah.
But maybe chat to us about physically kind of, you know, weight loss and, you know, training and the physical changes that you have noticed.
Yeah, just, you know, I think, you know, in terms of weight loss, I have lost a lot of weight, but just like feeling, you know, so much healthier, you know, I remember like, because like I said, I've always exercised like a lot, and I had like this constant pain in my hip and side, and that's completely gone. And it was just like, you know, I was, you know, 3.5 stone heavier. So I was, you know, exercising and, you know, my body obviously, I was thinking, oh, what is this? I must have an injury or whatever. And it turns out as I lost the weight, that pain went, which is amazing. But like physically, something I never focused on before I started with you was really strength training. And I love it. Like, I probably do strength training more than I run, really, because it just makes you feel so good. And when you move that mindset from burning calories, because, you know, strength training wouldn't be, you know, you wouldn't burn as much calories necessarily, you know, on your Garmin as you would doing a 10K run, but the way it makes you feel and how your body changes when you do, you know, incorporate strength training. I love lifting heavy. I love, you know, how it makes me feel. And yeah, it's definitely, you know, that's been a big change in terms of my body as well. You know, if I was just, before I would have just focused so heavily on cardio, even at the gym, you know, you know, I'd have been on the, you know, the cross trainer or, you know, the step machine, you know, and now when I go in, I do a little bit of warm up on the cardio and then I'm doing my strength training workout. And that has definitely been huge for me about being stronger, and, you know, that health span, essentially, you know, being able to kind of walk, you know, when I'm older, you know, I want to be able to be independent as I grow older. So that is really important to me, especially having seen the result of, you know, not looking after your body as you get older, you know, in nursing. That's really, really important to me. And that really definitely, you know, motivates me to keep going with that as well. But it's just, you know, physically as well, you know, I just feel much more comfortable in my own skin and more confident. So it's been
I was
big,
literally
big
going to ask,
change.
like, has it changed kind of confidence, how you're feeling about yourself? Because physically you've changed massively, but like, obviously, you know,
in terms of like
about
my
yourself?
headspace with it, you know, I remember like recently I spoke on the Open Office, and before that I actually asked my husband Liam, like, you know, what do you think is the biggest change in me since I lost weight? Obviously, apart from the fact I have lost weight, and he says confidence, and I agree with him, you know, and that's built up by consistently showing up for yourself, because you always wonder, like, where's this confidence going to come from? Is it from suddenly being, you know, a couple of stone lighter? But it isn't. It's doing the thing that you say that you're going to do. And I didn't realize that's how it was built. And I have just, you know, over time that has, you know, increased, and I feel so much more confident. I don't doubt myself as much. And like, I've noticed that my relationship, you know, with other people is stronger because of that self-doubt has, you know, evaporated essentially. You know, I put myself out there more, you know, my friendships are stronger, and it's amazing. Yeah, I do feel so much better with myself, much more positive outlook, you know? So yeah, it's been a big change.
I love how you said there that, because it's so true. It's so true. So many people, I will gain confidence when I lose the weight.
Yeah.
And isn't it?
Yeah,
like,
you do.
And
you
like,
think that you're suddenly just going to be like, I feel great. But, and you do feel good. You know, like you go to the shop and, you know, I enjoy shopping much more than I used to. Like my husband would tell you, I would have given him a really hard time going shopping, you know. Oh, nothing fits, it's awful, you know. But now, you know, I really enjoy that. But yeah, it's about showing up for yourself all the way along and consistently doing what you say you're going to do for yourself. You know, get up and do that, that movement, whether that's a walk or, eat well, it builds that confidence over time, and slowly, but surely that will come. So.
Yeah, every time you do, like I chat about, you're basically providing evidence to yourself. Every time you go to the gym, you're like, okay, I actually am a person who does what I say I'm going to do.
Exactly.
But every time you're like, snooze, 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 it's basically stacking evidence that you are this type of person.
Yeah.
And like I chatted on last week's Open Office, I think it was, and it was quite kind of like neuroscience heavy, but it was talking about the concept of, what you tell yourself you become. And it's basically, we have this filter in our brain, and we cannot process every single input that comes into it. Like we've thousands of inputs in a second, our minds would just explode. So we have this filter that allows in certain information, and what the filter looks for is information that we're already familiar with.
Yeah.
So it's basically our default settings. And like someone, we all know them, who's really negative, always focused on the negative, why they can't do this, why they can't do that. And they're just strengthening those neural pathways in their head. So they're actually solidifying the fact that they can't.
Yeah.
Whereas I think slowly over time, and that's what it is, it's really slowly, like the uncomfortable truth is, what is it? The fast way is the slow way, because the slow way is the only way. It's over time, you make that decision, and you made that decision. You're like, right, I'm going to go to Kellie and I'm going to ask for help, and I'm going to do the work. And when you do that and you allow yourself time, slowly by slowly, you're rewiring your mindset. You're like, I am this person who shows up for myself. I am this person who eats well. And you're solidifying that new, I suppose, neural pathway, so that's your new default setting. Like I cannot talk enough about the whole fact that, what you tell yourself you become. It starts, we talked about this already, it doesn't start from following a plan and eating a thing. It starts from how you speak to yourself. It starts from the belief that you had in yourself. And at the start, it's uncomfortable. Like all of us talk to ourselves so badly and put ourselves down. So when you finally say, do you know what, I might just try and, do this for myself and look after myself. It's so uncomfortable. You're like, oh, who do I think I am? And all of these thoughts. But you just solidify it as you go. And again, it's showing up for yourself and providing yourself with evidence. Like I had this conversation with a client recently, because she was talking about the fact that, the initial 8 weeks are relatively easy in terms of things usually go well. You usually, lose the weight and you're feeling good and your energy. And she was like, it's only when, real life happens that. And I almost said to her, these are tests, but I actually pulled myself back. It's not a test. I said, these are experiences where you prove to yourself that you can do it, right?
Yeah.
And this ties in nicely to something that I wanted to ask you about, because you mentioned it to me about your holiday, right? Yeah. So previously, right, before working with us, what would you have done around holidays, kind of, your mindset, your actual actions?
Yeah. So we're just back from like Gran Canaria, first on holidays, a family of 4, 4 years. And it did have me reflecting on how I would have approached a holiday before like that. And essentially leading up to a holiday like that, I would have gone on a really restrictive diet. I'd have done probably, some shakes for a couple of weeks, just to feel a little bit better in myself. Wouldn't have still felt that great, but I would have, felt a lot better than I would have, done. And then I'd go on holiday and I'd probably have everything that I wanted. I wouldn't have, been active, and I'd come back and I'd been starting another diet to try and lose the weight. Whereas this time, I just was my normal routine, because that normal routine, it works long term, I was just, doing my training, doing my nutrition, and I went on holiday, and I did make healthier choices where I could. Like I'd have my normal breakfast, and I still stayed active because, like we've said before, I love being active. So I just couldn't imagine going away for a week and not being active. A couple of little runs, a couple of little gym sessions, but nothing, huge, just to keep myself moving. And then coming back and just going straight back to it. And I was telling you, wasn't I, that I'd kind of done a little bit of an experiment, because, people put so much pressure on their like weight, on the weighing scales. So I weighed myself before holiday, and I weighed myself when I came back. And there was a significant increase, with even by the fact that I did keep moving, but I was eating and drinking a lot more than I normally would in my week. But I just went straight back to normal a week later. I was actually less than I was before I went on holiday. So it's just, that mind, we talk about the mindset, but one of the shifts has been, it's about getting straight back to it once you do, have something like a holiday, enjoying it while you're there, but just going straight back to your normal routine.
Absolutely.
And that has been huge. Not waiting, till next week or, for Monday, it's literally getting straight back to it as soon as you're back, So that's been huge for me, I think.
It's the idea, or it's the realization that, like, quote unquote, we always say this, going off plan. It's not a fucking plan, but people don't, you have to say something like that, right? So going off your normal routine, that isn't what determines long-term success or failure. It's your decision when you come home, do you know?
Yeah.
And do you know what the funny thing is, Nicola, right? You were saying there that you hopped on the scale and it went up significantly, right? If you weren't in a position where you understand the limitations of the scale, what would you have done? What do people do?
Completely sabotage. Like, I've ruined it now. I've completely messed up, my progress. I might as well just, carry on. And like, even the day traveling back, I ate, normally, and I would have just been like, right, last chance.
The last supper.
I'd just be eating, I'm going to start again tomorrow, Monday. Monday's coming, forever starting on a Monday. Can't start a day on another day, a day on another day, But it's just getting straight back to it and enjoying like the time, you have away. I said, I make healthier choices when I was away. I would have my normal breakfast because then I just start the day right. High protein, breakfast makes me feel good, a little bit of movement. And then just, going out with my family and having the lovely Spanish tapas and, having the Aperol spritz in the sun and not feeling guilty. That was a big thing for me, and just feeling good on holiday, like feeling nice in my clothes and, it's huge. Like it was amazing. So
I've written down the word enjoyment there because, right, we have clients, actually particularly there's about 3 of them now who are in the next phase with us, the latter end, but they have just gone away on holiday, right? Actually, a lot of them's names are Caroline. We've loads of Carolines with us now, and every time I said it to them, they think I'm nuts. I'm nuts. Every time I voice note them, I'm like, Caroline. With your head up, I was singing the fucking Kingfisher song, right? But anyway, the point of the tangent is that they've come back from holiday and they said to me, it was the first time I've ever enjoyed a holiday where I have not that they hated their holidays, but they're like, wasn't anxious about food.
Yeah.
Sat down with my family and enjoyed the holiday. Wasn't anxious about how I looked.
Yeah.
And all of these things.
Yeah.
And like, that really, like, I'm actually getting my hair standing up my arm. Like, that's what it is. That's what the change is.
Yeah. Because actually, when you're not feeling good, it does affect your mood. And it does put, it was the happiest holiday we've ever had, like as a family. Like the kids were so happy, and I think a lot of that comes down to the element that I did feel good about myself. My mood was up, whereas before I'd be like on the beach, self-conscious, and it did affect things. But now, completely different. So.
And like I say this on the podcast a lot as well, like I speak through lived experience as well. And I had chatted to you about because we were all talking about food, freedom and enjoyment. And like, I do remember, and we were talking about it on the way up, like friends asking you out for dinner or lunch and you're like, almost like, how can I get out of this? Because it's going to ruin my progress. Yeah. And I'll never forget, like the first Christmas, I was about 29, like, the first Christmas I sat down with my family and I was like, I know it sounds a bit weird, but like I was like present and I was eating the food and I was enjoying the food and I wasn't consciously thinking, how the fuck am I going to like get over Christmas without it ruining all my progress and what am I going to do in January? And it's just like doing what we've said the whole way through now, this mindset work brings you to the point of realizing that you can live your normal life and enjoy it and still make progress. It doesn't have to be extreme.
Otherwise, what's the point?
What is the point?
If you can't enjoy your life, it is all about enjoying your life and just finding a way that also means that you are confident and you do feel good in yourself. And, being healthier, but also just being happy and enjoying the moment, when you're in it. So,
and the evidence thing that we were talking about, you were saying, it's about showing up for yourself. What I had kind of actually started after I went on the long road of talking whatever, but I was talking about the holiday thing, right? So for our newer clients, I know you're well past this, right? But for our clients who are newer, who've just gone away and who've come back, and I've said to them, do not weigh yourself until you're back to your normal routine for a week, right? They come back to their normal routine and the scale is literally the same or lower than they went on holiday, right?
Yeah.
But what have they done now, right? It's all a learning curve with my coaching. They have provided themselves with evidence right now that no amount of talking could have convinced them.
Yeah.
That when they go on holiday, they can actually enjoy it and they can come back home and everything isn't ruined. So I suppose it is that evidence piece. You're gathering these bits, like at the start, it's like, oh, you know, having a takeaway won't ruin all my progress. Maybe step one to like going away on a 2-week holiday. Yeah. And as well, because you respect yourself more and you kind of value your health more, you don't go and eat everything in sight and drink 1,000 cocktails. Do you know what you were saying? Like,
yeah, exactly. You know, still making some good choices when you can, because I want to.
Yeah.
Not because I feel I have to, but because I want to. And that's a big change as well. You know, it's not like, oh, I should probably only have that. I genuinely want to, like, you know, start the day right. So that change is huge as well. You know, it's not like, oh, I'm on holiday, I'm going to get up and just, you know, devour everything. I genuinely want to make those healthy choices where I can, but then also enjoy, you know, the lovely, you know, food as well. So that's been a big change for
balance.
Me.
Balance. That's a hard word though, but I think when you understand really what balance is, it's so much easier to live. I don't want to say happier because, you know, happier kind of life. Like, as in, we had a new client start with us recently, and she was like, I'm loving she's only in week 1 or 2, and she's like, I'm loving the program and this, that and the other, but I think I might try and cut out that chocolate that I'm having in the evening. And she's only having a little bit of chocolate, right? And I'm like,
I think I have chocolate every day.
Same. I was like, absolutely don't do that.
Yeah.
Absolutely don't do that, you know, because it's ingrained in people that, you know, I'm just after thinking about the video we watched about the bagel and the alcohol, but it's ingrained in people that this is bad, right? And it's like, I'm going to reference.
We must not have it, you know?
But I'm going to reference this, right? That people who think sugar is going to kill you and sugar is bad or a bagel is bad are the people who are down in 3 bottles of wine at the weekend. Literally, what did she say?
Posting videos demonising bagels with 3 bottles of wine in her, but like, Charlie, the best video, So we were laughing, weren't we, like, over the video? But it's true.
But
you know, stop demonising food. Like, you know, have your little bit of chocolate, because actually, if you don't have a little bit of what you enjoy every single day, that's where the problem lies, because then that is the binge restrict, because you're restricting yourself with what you enjoy, and then further down the line, you're going to just be like, I want it all. And then you just kind of, you know, have that moment where you just overindulge yourself and then feel rubbish. Whereas if you have a little bit of everything every day, that's fine. It's not going to impact your progress at all. But you're going to be much happier for it.
Yeah, you can have anything, just not everything all of the time. And it's funny you were saying there about, like, you'll get to a point and you'll just like gorge on the thing, like, as in the chocolate, right? So I know it's a really small example, but like, the thing you tell yourself you can't have is the thing you want the most, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
And after, you can probably like white knuckle your way through a month or 2 with no chocolate, then, you know, come the next day, it's this guilt thing, and it's on it again.
Oh yeah, and the guilt then, you just like, if you just have that, just have, you know, a little bit of what you enjoy every day, and then you're happier for it, really. And you avoid that kind of moment of going, I just have to have the chocolate. Whereas, you know, you put it off limits, then that's where the problem lies. So you've got to include everything. Make it sustainable. That's the big one. Yeah. I
was going to say, and a little bit of alcohol here or there.
Here and there, you know. Wellness is about, you know, the holistic approach to health. We have to have, you know, a bit of a laugh, you know. There might be, it is about balance, isn't it? And, you know, I
was thinking there about our next retreat, we've actually...
Yes, so excited for the next retreat.
We have rented our own island. But most importantly... So there's no ferry back or to it. So we've like a private boat bringing us back and forth. And on the Saturday night, we're hauling 2 lads over, a bit of trad music, and we're getting half a keg of Guinness shipped over.
We'll discuss the half a keg.
Nick was like, a keg. I know. But it is about, it's literally, as you said a second ago, like, what is the point? You can't have a fucking laugh along the way.
Exactly. Which is what's so amazing about this program. You don't say, you know, don't have this, don't have that. You say include everything, all of the things you enjoy as well, because it is about balance. It is about enjoying your life. But obviously, like you say all the time, you can have anything, you just can't have everything. And you know how I feel about your quotes. I'm often quoting you, and people are like, like, who aren't on the program, I'll be there like, you know what they say? And they're like, no. People who don't know you, they're like, is that what they say? I'm like, yes, it is. That's what they say. I'm like kind of regurgitating your quotes. Yeah. But yeah, no, that is so true. So true. So
come here. I have a couple more, 2 or 3 more questions for you. But I just wanted you, because again, you can inspire those who are listening to this thinking, maybe after this conversation, maybe it is possible for me. You felt so stuck before you came to work with me. I felt so stuck at a period, and we're talking about like body composition health now.
Yeah.
So maybe someone who's listening to this, maybe someone who, if you could bring yourself back to maybe 2 years ago and how you felt about yourself feeling stuck, what advice would you give them?
Just, it's about just having trust in the process. So, just believe, continuously showing up every single day, even if it's in a small way, even on your worst days, being able to do what you can do. Because that feeling of feeling stuck, that's a place I never want to go back to. And that's a place I never will go back to. And I know that's not, I hope I don't go back there. I'm not going back there, that change, you have to believe that it can happen, because I definitely felt for a long time, my evidence was that I kept trying and I was, giving up. Whereas now I've had success with, the weight loss, and I'm changing career and I'm showing up, and I've built that confidence. You just have to believe in the process. You just have to keep showing up. And just fully, investing that time and energy into making those changes, and the results will come, and you will feel unstuck. It's an amazing change when that moment happens, and there are a lot of aha moments along the way. It's not just one kind of like, oh, okay. It's lots of little ones, and when they compound together, they're just like the result. Results are incredible. So yeah.
I've written down jigsaw there because we talk about this. You said it's just one part of the puzzle. Like the best way that I could describe coaching, or just change, if you're willing to, find the person that's going to help you get there, and you're willing to do the work. I think it's like, to explain the process is like, every thing you do for yourself, every time you show up, every piece of content that podcast you listen to, learn about this, that and the other, you're putting jigsaw pieces together, and you're in a position now, Nicola, where you can see this jigsaw and you're like, I get it now. I understand. But like week 2, 3, 4, month 6, you're probably still putting bits together, and you're like, what the fuck is this ever going to work? And then you get to the point, as you said, if you trust the process and are willing to show up for yourself.
I also, my mindset when I started with you was that I felt like I knew a lot about, training and nutrition and stuff. But what I did is I just almost gave myself up to the program and was like, I'm going to start from the beginning, the very beginning, and I'm going to take all of it in that you have to teach me, even if it goes against what I think I already know, and just literally fully invest and trust the process. And I did. And I, listened to all the content more than once. I still do. When I find myself maybe slipping a little bit, I throw myself back into it. And that's what keeps me going and keeps me on track. So yeah.
There's so many important things you said there. We get a lot of clients come to us, right? And as I said, your nursing background, like, you know what to do. Do you know what I mean? You know how to live a healthy life. So many people say to me in the first week, or in their questionnaire, or, chatting to me before we sign up, they're like, Kellie, I know what to do. I come from a X background, medical background. I come from a scientific blah, blah. And I'm almost like, and I say it to them, it's harder for you because you need to drop everything you think you know. Yeah. You need to drop it.
Yeah.
You're not getting there for...
Is an important part of learning, isn't it? Like you've said it before, you've got to just, let that information, that education come, and just be like, right, I'm going to, forget all of the things that I think I know, because that hasn't worked so far.
Yeah.
It's like someone says, oh, this diet worked for me really well. Well, why are you here then? Because actually, I've lost the same amount of weight again and again, not below a certain point. I've definitely not got down to this point before ever, or close to it. But there was, I would only get down to a certain point, regain the weight. I'd lost that bit of weight again and again, but I never got to where I wanted to be. So I had to just be like, right, everything I know, just take that out and start again, and just take in everything Kellie has to tell me and to educate me, all the content. And that's what I did. And I think, that is the key to success, is just to literally take all of it on board and do the things that you need to do. Yeah.
You did mention a word there, just 2 words, right? Hope. And it's funny because you said it, and I'd only said it to a client last week. You just said, I don't hope that I'm not going to go back that way.
Yeah.
I know that I'm not going to go back that way. And when new clients start with me, what I hear all the time is, you know, I hope this time is different. Or even last week, it was like, oh, this client had a great week. She's like, I hope next week will be the same. And I always pull people up and I say, there is no hope about this.
Yeah, no.
There is zero hope because your actions are within your hands, your decision. No one else is going to decide for it. The only person that
can do the work is you, you know.
You're the only person who can do it.
Hope. Yeah,
there's literally no hope.
No, literally, you know, that
sounds
so
terrible,
doesn't it? But yeah, it's like there's no hoping about it. If you do the work and you know, there is freedom in it. You know, you can have your, you know, nights out, you can have, you know, your takeaway or, you know, like we said, it's not what you do. It's not what you do like some of the time. It's what you do most of the time. So those things are included in, you know, the plan, you know, essentially, you know, no, not that there is a plan, but you know what I mean. So there is that element of freedom in it. And you've just got to, you know, keep going with it. And, you know, for me, it's about changing that mindset of, I don't hope that I'm going to, you know, stay this way. I am, you know, and when you change that, you know, that's the key, I think, to long-term change of like, you know, this is it now. This is who I am. And, you know.
Change in identity.
Yeah.
And Camira, you said there as well, I just think this is really important, right? And this is something that I chat to clients about a lot as well. You said the word slip. When I'm slipping, I go back and I watch this, that and the other. And I think that's so important that we talk about that because everybody slips. Like someone would look at, let's say, myself or yourself and think, oh, well, they've cracked it now. So every day is easy and they want to train all the time and they're perfect all the time. And all, you know, these stories that people tell themselves about everybody else and it's easy for them and all these things. But it's so important to notice that or to understand for the rest of your life, you will slip.
Yeah.
I will slip.
Yeah.
There's going to be times when my nutrition takes a hit because X, Y, and Z. There's going to be times when my sleep takes a hit or my training or even scrolling on social media and I'm like, what the hell are you doing? Get off. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's constantly times that you'll slip in all areas of your life depending on what's going on in the moment. And it's not telling yourself that because you're slipping, you're going backwards or that there's a problem.
No.
It's the ability to catch yourself when you slip.
Yeah. That's the key, isn't it? It's like, you know, you can see a pattern happening and you think, actually, I'm just going to pull myself back from this. You know, it's not going to affect me long term, but it's the fact that you have awareness that that's happening and putting things in place to kind of prevent that escalating, you know. I think, yeah, we do all slip up, don't we? You know, there are times that unhealthy habits, you know, slip back in.
Yeah.
But it's about, you know, recognizing that and doing what you need to do to get back on track, essentially. So, you know, and breaking old habits as well. You know, there were so many things that like I used to do, like evening snacking and things like that I just started like replacing with better habits. You know, if we do our daily walk, I would do that in the evening to kind of break that habit. And that is something that's definitely, you know, stuck with me. So, you know, that's what I noticed recently, a little bit of slipping with that. So I was like, I'll start doing my walk again in the evening, you know?
Yeah.
So it's just, it's just like, you just got to keep going, being consistent with it. Don't chase perfection. That, you know, there's no point. But yeah.
Yeah, what is the quote? Don't let perfect be the enemy of good.
Yeah.
I think that's an important point that a quite new client said in the open office recently. She was like, from working with Kellie, I now am chasing better.
Yeah.
And I'm not chasing perfect. And I was like, that's so beautiful. I'm going to use that. And I've been using it for every new client. I'm like, we just want to be better. You know? It's just about being a little bit better.
I know, but there are so many coaches, I think, out there, you know, you see, you know, with the online presence that, you know, you do feel like that's what they're chasing, you know, perfection. But with you know, even on your message that you're putting out on Instagram, I think that's why people like, this is the person that I want to, you know, sign up with, because you do, make it real. So, and can essentially like, you know, the message you're putting out there is brilliant, that it's just some, you know, you have to do the work. You provide us with the education, you know, regards to nutrition and mindset and everything, but we have to do the work. But we don't chase perfection. We just keep showing up and being sustainable and consistent with it. So
love it.
Yeah.
Come here, Nicola. I have one more question and then I'm going to let you go. Yeah. So the last question I wanted to, and I'm actually going to be selfish and use this for my clients and not the general audience, but for clients who are maybe waiting to work with us. So it is, what month is it now? June.
Yeah.
It is June right now and we're fully booked for the entire summer. We have September clients already in, nearly full for September, and then October might be the last.
Amazing.
Yeah, it's good problems, as I was saying. Like, you know, I get stressed. My life is stressful and busy, but it's better problems than I had last year, let's say, you know. So nobody ever stops having problems, but
they just change.
They just change.
Yeah.
So for those clients who are maybe booked in to work with us or thinking about working with us, but more so the people who are ready to work with us, and even new clients who've just started maybe this week, what advice would you give them, or what would you say to them? Because we had this conversation about so many of my clients, like in your stage, let's say, always say when new clients start, geez, I wish I was back in their shoes, you know?
It's exciting for them because there is so much to learn. And you know, when you're on the other side of it, you're excited for them because you know that, you know, what they're going to, you know, come up against and learn, and, you know, the content they're going to, you know, be exposed to, and the work they're going to do. And you know, essentially it was a little bit like I said earlier, but, you know, putting everything that you think you already know to the back, and just allowing themselves to relearn what they need to learn, and just completely invest in all of the, you know, the education elements to it, you know. And the other thing is just, you know, just to, you know, completely submerge themselves in the content. You know, I go back over content all the time, you know, looking at the educational stuff, you know, the podcast, re-listen to the podcast, reach out to the community, try and attend the meetups, really, really like fully, you know, throw themselves into the program, and, you know, the results will come. So.
Legend. Thank you so much,
No
Nicola.
problem.
I absolutely love that. It's such a great chat.
It's amazing.
Everything we talk about behind closed doors anyway.
Yeah. So
thanks so much.
Me.
And
great.
That is it. Come here. Listen, we will let you go. And as always, if you found the episode useful or think someone you know will find the episode useful, I'm sure that you will, because again, it's from lived experience. It is inspirational in showing you that change is possible. Change is available to everybody. It's not about striving for perfection. It's not about being perfect, but it is about having that chat with yourself and being honest. I think the thing is being honest and saying, right, I'm going to do the work. I'm going to give myself time and I'm going to get there. So if you have been inspired and think that it could inspire others, make sure to share with anyone you think it would help with. And as always, keep her lit, and I will chat to you on the next one.